Hello everybody, welcome into the greenhouse today on a beautiful bright sunny day. Nice change from the gray skies that we had first thing this morning. The sky just opened up. I thought it was going to be a horrible day, but sky opened up, dumped all the water, and now we've got nice blue sky. So here we are in the greenhouse, and today I want to talk, hopefully kind of quickly, about something that seems to be troubling a lot of folks with their aquaponic systems. And I don't exactly have this mastered yet, but there are a few tips and tricks that I can give you that might make things go a little easier for you with your rebuilds or future builds or whatever. So let's get started discussing our good friend, the bell siphon. The bell siphon. When they work fantastic. When they don't work, they make us bash our heads against the greenhouse walls, wondering why we ever got started with this in the first place. But really, they're not that hard. The most important thing to remember with your bell siphon is that it can only handle so much water at once. So really, it's a matter of water control. And when you get right down to it, there are a lot of different things that you need to consider in order to make sure that your bell siphon is going to work properly for you each and every time. Now, like I say, I don't have this mastered yet. These are just some general tips and guidelines that I hope will help you through. Now, when you first build your bed, obviously you have to consider water going into your garden. What size is that pipe? For example, mine's a 1/2 inch. The next thing you have to consider is it a gravity-fed pipe or is it a pressurized pipe? Because those will both be pushing vastly different amounts of water through them and will have a hugely different effect on how your bell siphon operates. So as a good rule of thumb, if you've got a 1/2 inch inlet, you're going to want at least a 3/4 inch to a 1 inch drain. Now, because everything's going to need to fit inside each other, if you've got a 1 inch drain, you're probably going to need at least a 2 inch bell and at least a 3 inch, what do you want to call it, a rock screen, rock guard, call it whatever you will. I'd actually go with 4 inches for that, but we're talking about at least. Now, is having the magic combination of pipes going to do it for you? Probably not. There's way more to it than that. If there wasn't more to it than that, then it would be easy and everybody would do it. But it's not, so they don't. A surprisingly often overlooked factor is the rock screen, or your rock guard, or your media guard, or like I said, there's 1,000,001 names for this. And I see a lot of people doing basically what I did here, which is just cut some random slots through it, water can flow and it'll be fine. But you know what? That's not good enough. As you can see, later versions of my guard have a whole lot more drainage holes in them, and there is a good reason for that. You may also notice that they're slices, not holes. There's a good reason for that too, but we'll get to that in a minute. However you slice it, this media guard is going to be one of your first points of failure for most bell siphon issues. This does not allow anywhere near enough water to pass through it, so even if the bell were working perfectly, it still wouldn't work perfectly, if that makes any sense. The water would be passing through this far too slowly, the bed wouldn't be draining at all properly, and the bell would not be pulling anywhere near as much as it could through there. So the simple solution to that is, as I said, more slots, but more importantly, you're going to want to make sure that in the bottom, I'd say, quarter of that media guard, you have got at least enough open space for twice as much water to pass through as will actually fall through your drain pipe. Twice as much. Now, while it is easy to have too many rocks and bits of media come through this drain, it is impossible to have too much water flow through there. Okay, bear that in mind. It is impossible to have too much water flowing through this drain, period. So now that we've considered water passing through your media guard, it's time to consider water passing through your bell. Here we have a blank, because I'm going to cut this one again, because I royally screwed this up when I made it the first time. When I first made this bell, it didn't look anywhere near this bad, I assure you, but I did drill a series of holes along the bottom, thinking that that would provide me enough water flow. It didn't, so I drilled more, and it still didn't. So I broke some edges off, and now looks like that. Which is why I'm going to flip it And we're going to cut the other side today so I can get proper drainage through there. Ultimately, much like the media guard, I don't recommend drilling holes for your water passage. I recommend cutting slices in there. And I'll show you in a second here how I'm going to do that for this one. But again, it's the all-important matter of making sure enough water can pass through the bell and into the drain to actually fill it and maximize the use of the drain. Because if not, again, just like with the media guard, it's going to be draining slower than it could potentially be, and you might not have as many problems as it looks like you do. So you just want to make sure there is at least enough airspace in the bottom of your bell, like the gap that you're going to cut, that it is a little bit more than equal to the square inch of the top of your drain. So if you've got a 1-inch drain pipe, I'd recommend having at least 1 1/4 inches of drain space in the bottom of your bell. I see a lot of people installing air hoses into the top, and I think ultimately that's unnecessary. I have yet to do that for a single bell. And I do have, you know, the one in the sled bed is working just fine, even though it's kind of a Frankenponics bell. It still works just fine, and it's got no air hose. So, let's go cut at least 1 inch worth of breathing space in the bottom of this, so that I can have a better bell. So there, I've just cut half of the bottom, and you can see nice straight lines, good solid foot at the bottom there. Just going to flip it over and repeat the process. So here we can see it put back together. Like I said, no air hose in the top. Alright, well, now that we've got it cut, put back together, we're ready to go. We'll just install it into this main reservoir bed for the Frankenponics and see how it does. Now this is a pretty short drain anyway, so I'm not expecting much. Just love waiting on a drain to start and holding the camera, don't you? Sure looks like it works to me. Alright, now judging from the difference in water level outside the media guard and inside the media guard, I would say that this particular example still doesn't have enough water flow at the base of the media guard. So the problem here is easy to spot and easy to fix. Well, there you go. It's not exactly the world's most fantastic and amazing, fabulous bell siphon in the world, but it's a couple of tricks that I use to try and improve my bell siphons now that I have a bit of a clue. And I thought I would throw it out there, just give you guys some advice if you're struggling with your siphons. There's still a few different drain options that I've been considering, but I haven't gotten around to trying yet because it's spring madness, so I've got about 1,000,001 things going on. That is it for now, I think, and thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope you are having a fantastic day so far, and I hope it only continues to get better. Take care, everybody.